The next thing we talk about, obviously, well, territorial, fear-based, or conflict-related aggression. They're all different types of levels. Hi folks, Colin here. Thanks for joining us. I'm at the Australian Institute of Animal Management Conference for 2018, which unfortunately is held in the Hunter Valley, which is surrounded by lovely wineries, so it's a hard task, but someone has to do it. Today, unfortunately, our guest has not been able to make it at the last minute, so I'm going to have to tackle this a little bit by myself, cover a few of her points, but our guest was Dr. Gabrielle Carter, and she's the keynote speaker for the conference this year, talking mainly about dog aggression and how it comes about, where to handle it. So I'll go through a few of those. Speaker Dr. Gabrielle Carter, she featured in her speech this morning about dog aggression. It was quite interesting, a few things that she showed up, and one of them was where they did a comparison. I'm going to bluff my way through this because I sat through the thing, we had a bit of a chat, but this would all be up to her and not to me to talk about. But one thing that was quite interesting was that she did a comparison on dog breed A and dog breed B, and then showed the charts of the amount of aggression in each breed. And you looked at breed number 2, and it was low aggression, low aggression but high reports of incidents, whereas in breed number 1 there was high incident of reports, but high incidence of aggression but low reports. And when she revealed them, one was actually a Chihuahua with high degree of aggression, and the other one was a golden retriever or a Labrador. And the reason why the golden retriever had more reports of aggression but wasn't such an aggressive dog was because it got reported more. People got nipped a lot more by the little Chihuahua, but the reports for the larger dog breed were more significant because obviously it's a larger breed. So Kylie, hello, thanks for joining us, that's great. So the other thing that came out of that, she explained a lot about shyness and boldness in a dog's temperament and personality. She mentioned the flight or fight behaviour. If a dog is put into an aggressive situation, they've got two options. You've probably all heard this before. They can either go flight, which means they're going to get away from the danger. We'll be talking about snakes maybe next week, and that also will come up in this thing. So if you want to see a few live snakes, we're trying to tee that up now, so tune in next week to see some snakes coming into summer. That could be a good subject. Now the other thing is dogs can fight, so if they're cornered they might react differently. If they've got somewhere to go, they can get away, but if they can't, they might react differently. And I find as well, a lot of people tell me that when their dog's on the lead they're quite aggressive, but if they're not on the lead they're quite comfortable to be around other dogs, which is interesting because the lead has possibly even taken away their ability to go, so they have to actually protect themselves. Now, also grooming a dog. If you groomed a dog, you would find that they produce a lot more serotonin, and they're a lot more relaxed as well. Hello, Helena. How are you? Thanks for joining us. We're talking about aggression. Helena's a dog trainer that we know of, and we're a great supporter of her work up in the hills. She's actually got one of our dog fences on her cat, so that's interesting. Now, the other one is territorial aggression, fear-based aggression, or conflict-related. I'm not the expert, guys. Just a refresher, our expert couldn't join us at this very time, so then I've had to take over and do a bit of a summary. So we're talking about Dr. Gabrielle Carter, who is the keynote speaker at the Australian Institute of Animal Management Conference. So that's where we are, in the Hunter Valley. Horrible place to be. Too much wine everywhere. Hate it. Hate every minute of it. Horrible. Okay, the next thing we talk about, obviously, well, territorial, fear-based, or conflict-related aggression. They're all different types of levels. The next one was very interesting: genetics, environment, or learning. So now with genetics, it's quite interesting that over the years the doc has changed her recommendation on breeds. She used to say that Staffies were a good breed, but she has found that sometimes that Staffies have been a little bit more aggressive because of their breeding. And it takes me back to a documentary I saw where they got some foxes and they bred the good-natured foxes with the good-natured foxes, and pretty soon they had a domestic pet. But then they did the opposite and they bred the aggressive foxes together, and they had a super aggressive dog at the end of it. So when you look at a blue Staffy, absolutely beautiful dogs, really, really lovely, and any breed can be lovely, but just be aware that if you are breeding in Dr. Gabrielle Carter's findings, she pointed out that some breeds have actually found that there is more aggression taking on. And if you had an aggressive dog, if you bred, I think they did studies on this, if you bred the aggressive bred dogs with the non-aggressive breed of the same breed, but you just separated the breeding, the dominant trait would be the aggressive trait. So that was very interesting. So if you're breeding dogs, it would just be very aware. You should check out some of her studies on this, because it was really quite interesting about how you can change the aggressiveness or the nature of a dog by certain breeding certain traits. Now, lastly on this, the other thing is the environment they're in is obviously going to affect whether the dog's aggressive, how they're treated, and their learning as well, their behaviour if they're taught that. So the identifying the likelihood of a dog attack, quite often body language is quite important. She mentioned a little bit about that, and I know in tomorrow's speech she'll be going over that in a little bit more detail. But keep an eye on if the dog's in a situation and you get those instant attacks, which is something that's sometimes unpredictable, but if you know the signs and you know what to look for as far as body language, you can pick up on those before things happen. Tongue flicking is a very, very clear indication that the dog is nervous. Obviously, ears a little bit lower, and tongue flicking, that can be a very clear sign that the dog is not happy in that situation. So then you should be aware. Keep an eye on that. And I know there's a lot of behaviourists that I've spoken to that have actually mentioned that in a lot of their speeches as well. So that's I would look up Dr. Gabrielle Carter, have a look at her works. We're at the Australian Institute of Animal Management Conference for 2018, having a look at a chat about aggressive dogs, and the keynote speaker, Dr. Gabrielle Carter. So look her up, folks. It'll be a very interesting reading about, if you want to know a bit more about dog aggression, and I believe she does speak at various functions. Thanks for joining us, folks. See you next week.